I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And since 2020, our team that does that show for dads, fathers, and male caregivers has reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. So as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live with Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa on July 27th. Lala is not here with us today. She is celebrating her 31st wedding anniversary. So if you're listening on the podcast or the audio broadcast, I put the 3 and the 1, so 31 years. So she is taking today off, and we told her she can't come on tonight. So she does come on tonight. We're going to boot her out of the green room. But as always, we have Aisha K. Staggers and special friend of Primetime Saturday and Dr. Vibe, Dr. Tachi is with us. Good day, ladies. How we doing?
Oh, fantastical.
Okay. Aisha, you're on mute. Get yourself off mute.
Yes, it's been a good week. It's been like a year and a week.
Only? Okay. Well, before we go any further, a few things. Primetime Saturday, the Patreon account where you catch a lot of great conversations. There's a link. There's the store where new merchandise. I think new merchandise is coming after last week's conversation. Lala's working on some stuff. The Primetime Saturday Discord group where you keep the conversation going on in between. Yeah. Epic Conversations. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We want to get to 1,600 subscribers, not 15,000. You'll know about that in just a moment. And to advertise your business product or service on the Dr. Vibe Show, please feel free to email me at dr.vibe@thedrbeshow.com. And since Dr. Tachi is here, we always got to big up IndieSoup TV, which is now, 5 months old yet?
Actually, yes, because the 25th of March is when we started broadcasting. So I think it's 4 months exactly.
Okay. How many YouTube subscribers now?
16.4? 16.3?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
2,300, I think. Yeah.
I'm blessed to be on the advisory board and have content on that platform on a regular basis. So tell us how the IndieSoup journey has been. Did you think you'd be at this point after 5 months?
I did not. So the fact that we are still open, that is a good that's a good thing. But no, I did not anticipate this much of particularly on YouTube, this much of a response to it. And it's interesting to see where many of the viewers are coming from. Like the US is third. It's like India is first. The Philippines is second. So it's interesting. We do have like an international vibe.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Aisha, you have an announcement to make too. So go for it.
Well, on our Patreon, Lala and I do different conversations, just the two of us, kind of girlfriends chat. We've decided that because Project 2025 is so important, we're going to make these available without the subscription, so you can actually go to the Patreon and listen to them. But on August 5th...
Okay, hold on. Go
But
ahead.
on August 5th, me, Lala, and Jill Jones are going to have a conversation about Project 2025 and some other things that are taking place. We're going to talk about Harris and what it means for Black women, just, a little Black women conversation. And August 5th is when we're recording it, because we don't do it live, we record it. But it will go, I will put it up that evening. By that evening, it'll be up live on our Patreon. If you're in the Discord group, I'll post the link. I'm going to share it through social media, but it's going to be an interesting conversation. So we've had a text chat with the three of us talking about some of the things that we want to discuss. So it's going to be interesting.
So for those who don't know the name Jill Jones, let's see, where do we start? Like, where do we start?
The anniversary of Purple Rain was this week, so a lot of people got to watch her when they watched Purple Rain on the 25th. The 25th was its 40th anniversary of the movie being released, and she is the waitress in the film. And Jill Jones, phenomenal singer. She's worked with Tina Marie. She's worked with Prince, of course. She's got her own stuff. She toured with Nile Rodgers. So and in our earlier iteration of this show, she was one of our co-hosts. And so she's going to join us back for this conversation. She got in touch with me about Project 2025 and wants to have some conversation. So I thought the platform with the three of us as women, as mothers, mothers of grown children who are all this young generation that's going to vote in this election and make a difference, and how we see that. We have other conversations too, not just political. There, Lala and I, we talked about menopause, which was a very good conversation, because the two of us being Gen X, and how no one told us anything, and we're going through this process. And so we've decided to have that conversation because we wanted millennial women to not have the void that we have in this space of learning. And so we have some really interesting conversations there. Some of them actually are available to people who are not subscribers, but these ones going forward with Jill Jones are going to be available to everyone who's not subscribed.
Well, looking forward to having Jill back. Jill was part of it was just Aisha and LaLa for a long period of time. Was it really
Aisha and Jill?
Yes, and then it was you first.
Yep, and then me and Jill.
Then you and Jill, and then LaLa. So it's Bill. That's interesting. You talk about the menopause conversation. Actually, today I was contacted by a lady who runs an organization for younger women in the Greater Toronto area, educating them about menopause.
Yeah.
And ladies' health challenges. And she asked me to host a conversation with a group of 10 men discussing menopause. And all of them are from different cultural backgrounds. So I'm very excited to have that conversation.
And the three of us are going to have that conversation, the three of us, because we're all at different stages in the process. Like, I'm at the beginning stage, I'm at perimenopause. And so that is different than someone who's been in it for a while, someone who's like just out of the perimenopause phase. And so it's interesting, the three of us, the conversations that we've had about that. The one thing that we all seem to have struggled with and continue are the hot flashes.
Okay. Well, no,
Let me tell you a quick story. I was in Macy's last week, and I went to Macy's last Sunday.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Pick up one thing, and I'm there. I'm at the cosmetic counter. Nobody's helping me, and I'm just standing there waiting for someone. And the girl sees me. She's coming over. Then all of a sudden, I just start pouring sweat.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, I got to get out of here. And so an older woman said to me, she's like, "Are you okay?" I said, "Hot flashes and menopause." And she says, "I'll give you a hint. See this skin freshener spray." She said, "Go get you one of those and put it in the refrigerator, and then use that throughout the day." And she was right. So I keep it by my bedside. Actually, I don't even need it in the refrigerator. I just keep it by my bedside or wherever I'm sitting, and just spray it on when I start to feel warmed up, and it takes care of it that quick.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting because I'm blessed to have a lot of online and offline conversations, and more of the conversations I'm having with Gen X women, they're opening up and telling me I'm going through that time. And I'm just going, okay, so I don't have that, but I do have brain lapses. Maybe I have male menopause. I don't know. And I'm really interested to hear those conversation topics. And I think that's really, really important because your health is your wealth.
Yeah, and it's a process that, I've been in perimenopause since I was 46. I'm gonna be 50. I'll be 50 September 23rd.
Wow,
and
that's my sister's birthday.
And my body can't figure it out. It's like I'm trying to get along with you. Can you work it out?
I'm trying to get along with you. That's so cute. All right, before we get into our conversation, number one fan, Jen Myers, what is up? JJ Mars from Colorado. He always finds a way to show up, whether it's on the morning vibe or primetime. What is going on in Colorado? What is the weather like in Colorado? Jen Myers says, hey, Dr. Tachi.
Hey, Jen.
Ryan says, hey, everyone, and congratulations to LaLa. Yes, big time. APV ADT says, sounds great. Definitely need to break down Project 2025 for folks who may not have gone in depth with the pages of that publication. I will tell you, IPV ADDT, if you go back to some earlier episodes a few months ago about Project 25, we actually had a Saturday conversation where Aisha and LaLa, they talked about it for the whole show.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Dr.
I'm not sure if you know who Brian Young is, but he's somebody that I met through Instagram, and he's on Clubhouse, and they are, I believe it's every Sunday, going through and breaking down Project 2025 because it's 700 to 900 pages.
900. LaLa took half. I took half. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You know what? Dr. Tachi, if you have his contact information, I'd love to contact him, and I'd love him to come on this platform with Aisha and LaLa and go into it big time.
Yeah, and if you get a chance, anybody go to the website. They have a website. Now, the rumor is that they're trying to take it down. Because they don't want people to read it. Look, now that it's getting all this attention, it's negative attention. They don't want people to read it, right? But it is such that even if you don't have the time to sit and read all 900 pages, it's they have an index by topic, and you just click on the link. It'll take you right to that section of it. And so go watch that episode that we did. And of course, watch Dr. Tachi's friend. It's you have to stay abreast on this because it's a mess.
Well, go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
No, it's just amazing to me that when they say they always say if you can only use your powers for good, you had the time to sit there and write 900 pages of rubbish. Do you know what you could have been doing with that time? It's really so simplistic to think, but honestly, we waste a lot of time on foolishness. That whole camp, you wasted a whole lot of time on foolishness. And honestly, if you really wanted to enact some of these things, there are other ways you could have done it than to put it in a public-facing document where we would find out about. This is how I know.
Kamala said earlier this week, can you believe they put that on paper?
Exactly.
They put that in writing.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we better we're already into it. We haven't got to the conversation topics yet. So let's go. Jen Meyer says, oh, the hot flashes. IPV ADT says, and yes, Canadians do need to be concerned about Project 2025 and what it entails, particularly around reproductive rights.
And the consideration of closing that border too.
Yes. JJ Mars is our Colorado weather report, a hot Colorado day. And yes, IPV ADDT, it is 900 pages. All right, let's get to, and this is
At least they didn't waste the paper. Oh my God.
Well, and this is crazy. This is our third prime time in a week because we were on last Saturday, we were on Friday, and we're on tonight. The replays of last Saturday, the edited versions of last Saturday, and
Wednesday, we're on Wednesday.
No, I mean last Saturday and last Monday were both posted on YouTube yesterday.
Oh,
And
gosh.
people, but people have been reacting positively because usually I don't like to post significant conversations like that on the same day, but it's going okay. It's going okay. All right, one more thing. Wow. Okay, you know what? I will save that comment till we get it, because if not, we'll talk about Project 2025 all day. We'll
The
be here
whole
for
thing, yeah.
all right. So let's
That's a
get
whole show.
yes. Let's get to our first conversation topic because it's all politics stuff. The Obamas finally endorse Vice President Harris. Who wants to start?
Aisha, go ahead.
I will. You know, I had to rethink this because people were like, why didn't they endorse right out the gate? I had to really sit and take a step back and look at the strategic nature of it. And while I think that they probably could have come out sooner, the thought pattern on their part is probably, look at all the stuff that we went through. We don't want her to have to take on our stuff on top of what she's already going to get. And so that was one way. But also, too, notice that they did it at the very end of the week. Okay? The week started with Joe Biden endorsing her. It ended with the Obamas endorsing her. So here you have the last two leaders of the Democratic Party endorsing her on bookends. And the Obamas are actually the most popular, and Michelle's not even a politician, but they're the most popular politicians in American history, in recent history. Mm-hmm. And so that is a lot of power and influence that they wield. And so the timing, it has to be about the timing. And so I think to bookend with Joe Biden at the start and the Obamas at the end to close out that banger of a week she had, not to mention all the fundraising in between, I think it was strategic, and I actually can appreciate the thought that went into how that was going to roll out.
100% agree. That was pure strategy on their part. It's also consideration, on their part. You see someone else who was in the same predicament that you were in, and you're trying to spare them as much as you can the wahala, I'll say, that they went through. They were really trying to spare them that. But, I want to also point out this whole thing. If we look at the title of this article, and they're not the only ones who have done this, the finally. Now, it's very interesting because there's no other, and granted, they are the most popular politicians. They're very high profile. It was expected that this was going to happen, and I think people were waiting for it to happen. But the finally, to me, is like, did you say finally about any of the other Dems or any of the other expected people when they got to it? What is with the finally? And I think that puts scrutiny on the entire thing. And see, this is why we as journalists, I need us to be more cautious with our wording of things. So yes, finally, I guess is fitting, but it's also a loaded finally, in my opinion.
Right. I think when it comes from us, we're like, finally, they did this, and now we see why. The way mainstream media is doing this, it's like there's still a reluctancy on their part to give this woman credit for anything, because they're still worried that there's a possibility that Donald Trump will win. Okay, and they're afraid of that. Because one of the things that I've seen is people now that, okay, you ran Joe Biden down to the point that he drops out. He drops out. Kamala Harris, energy. You can't believe all this is happening. And now by Wednesday, they're talking about, but this enthusiasm might not last. Come on.
Well, this is why you've been hearing calls to, number one, pass only along positive things. Obviously, the things that we need to be concerned about when it comes to the opponents, those are the things, yes, obviously share. But the overwhelming negative, the misinformation, the directive is stop sharing that type of stuff. Don't even give it the energy. Like, many mainstream media outlets are doing. Number two, I think that there's this assumption that the general public does not know these things. We know good and well what's out there and what's being said, and there's no need for you. It's not news. When you continually repeat these things, it is not news, especially if we already knew. Obviously, if it bleeds, it leads. There is money attached to all of this as well. Ratings are attached to all of this as well. So
clicks and likes.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want us, and I have to include myself and you in this, as we are journalists, I want us to be more responsible when it comes to these types of things. And for those of us that are responsible media, we already know what the mainstream media is going to do, because they're beholden to advertisers and they need that money. So they're going to go with the most sensationalized thing they can. For those of us who have platforms that can look at things critically, let's do that and not fall into the trap of the negative.
Yeah, we have to be very deliberate and intentional with our words. And one of the things that I see in terms of even this Obama conversation, I'm still trying to figure out who the source is that said they talked to the Obamas and the Obamas wanted Joe Biden out. Because if you have to be quiet about it, I seriously doubt that those two are telling you anything. Trust me, these are Black people here, okay? These aren't your regular run-of-the-mill politicians. These are also Black people.
Correct.
Okay? So we know to keep home stuff at home.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not running out to the first Tom, Dick, and Harry who can then run to the media and share what they're not going to say in public. Michelle Obama is not that kind of woman. If she's going to say it, she's going to say it, period. So I think that there are a lot of people who are talking. Oh, I'm an insider. Guess what? 9 times out of 10, when someone says they're an insider, they're like, what, 6 degrees of separation from that person?
Exactly. They want to be an insider to make themselves more relevant. That's what it boils down to.
They're about as relevant as Nate Silver is right now.
Exactly. I see. The thing is, this is the interesting thing. And in all, a lot of media outlets, and all their fervor to try and understand things and try and understand, for example, the Black vote, try and understand the way that people of color and people of African descent are feeling. You don't know how we operate. So as soon as I heard that, I said, "Now you know, good and well." They didn't say anything to anybody. That's not how we operate. There are still cultural mores in terms of how we operate in the public sphere, particularly when it's a public sphere that is negative and is not necessarily wanting to see us win.
And that we don't
operate
control.
very differently.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've made a point to say regularly on my Twitter is that when you are a member of a historically oppressed group, you know so much more about the oppressor than they know about you, because for you, it's a matter of survival.
Mm-hmm.
For them, it's choice. And oftentimes they don't think they have to pay that much attention to you, but they're arrogant enough to think that they know everything about you.
Absolutely. I mean, case in point, who was the bright individual who called it a colored sorority? Now, I understand that.
Oh, Brian Kilmeade?
Uh-huh.
We all heard it.
I understand that he is trying to be condescending with this. I get it. But it also points to the fact of how little they know about Black life. They think for us, as a member of a D9 sorority, our affiliation with our sisterhoods and brotherhoods do not end after we graduate from college. It is a lifetime commitment. And some
don't even start until after college, because we've got alumni chapters.
Exactly. Case in point, I didn't pledge go through membership intake until I had graduated, right? So it cuts across different times that people get in, but it also permeates your your life, your everyday life. You are there to serve. That is what you are there first and foremost for, to uplift the community. Secondly, for sisterhood and brotherhood. So it really constitutes a large part of your life. That's not for the other organizations. That's just something that they do during college. And that doesn't mean there are no Black people in those sororities. There are some, but our relationships go deeper when it comes to that. And so when you're looking at, they don't get it when they look at Vice President Harris, that this is something that is it's not just a question of the White House being pink and green the day that it goes beyond that. It shows a service-minded public servant. You have to be service-minded before you ever enter these organizations. So it just shows that she is dedicated to a lifetime commitment of public service. And that's something they don't get. So that comment they made, you were trying to be condescending, but to your point, it also shows how little they know about Black life or the lives of people of African descent. And we have to know everything about them. Yeah.
You know what?
It's funny too.
I just want to, because I ain't gonna get many words in tonight, so I just want to get encourage you. No, this is a good thing, because family, you are watching and listening to two HBCU grads, also two respected journalists. I just want, and then also.
And two former professors.
Two former professors. So,
and I'm still a professor.
There you go. High level, good, deep conversation. Galen Bingham says Black folks have a sensitive issue about needing to be perfect. No candidate is perfect. We have to choose what's been best for most. Excuse me. There is no one who works for all. Kamala is the best hope for most of America. He also goes, yo, and he says, Hey, till the day I die.
My daughter's father is a member of Kappa Alpha Psi.
Yes, love the Kappa. I'm a Delta, so Crimson and Cream family.
But you know what though? My daughter's grandmother didn't pledge Delta till she was almost 50.
Yes.
So, and see the point, and that's the whole thing about that comment that he made, was that he tried to, he knows he said color. Because here's the thing, your whole point to complain was about it being the summertime. So why would you say college? That's being redundant, because your assumption that it's already college affiliated was already present when you said, why is she doing this in the summertime? Because clearly you were saying that schools are out. So who does this? She couldn't get out of it. So who does this? Again, not understanding that
don't get it.
These boulets happen every year, first of all. Second of all, if you look at Zeta Phi Beta and their membership in the pictures and all of that, I'm gonna tell you, you had a whole bunch of elderly women in their wheelchairs, their motorized wheelchairs, in a long line going to see Kamala Harris. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? As many friends as I have in these D9 organizations, I know for a fact that you have more people who haven't seen college in 20 years at these annual meetings than you do people who are still in college.
To your point, the majority of people that are active and doing the work on, of course, collegiates, we love collegiates. That's where most of our organization started. But the majority of our members are alumni and alumni members. Most of the people, because we're the ones that have the money to do the
money
work
to continue
doing right. So the undergraduates don't have that type of money. So obviously we support them and we want them to make great changes and strides on their campus, as well as personal development. But most people that's like trying to impart critical thinking skills to two smashed flies. I have no hope for them to ever learn, because they don't have the fortitude or the capacity to do so. So whatever, lost cause.
And I just have one last question and comment on that. When is the Black guy that sits there going to get fed up enough to walk out? Even though he doubled down on it for Brian Kilmeade, I'm sure that somebody told him, corporate told him that he had to do that. But if you look at his face, he heard it. And that he bit his bottom lip, and he had that look on his face like, if I didn't need the money and I didn't need this job, I'd whoop your behind right now.
All right. I just want to add on to Galen Bingham says, my daughter is a rising biochemistry major at Spelman College.
Fantastic. Love
Okay.
Spelman.
And he says, my wife and mother-in-law are dedicated AKAs. My wife
That's too
and I
bad. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
my wife and I pledged alumni chapter. So I want to bring it back. How critical are the Obamas to the campaign of Ms. Harris?
They're closers. That's what they do. That is their role in the Democratic Party now. They're closers. When it comes to difficult races, they go in and they bring it in the clutch. It's like I love the WNBA. It's like a women's basketball game, right? You're gonna run it down the court, but whoever's in the paint is the one you want to finish the shot. Period. And that's who they are. They're in the paint, just waiting for someone to hand them the ball. They're going to make the shot, finish it, complete it, game over.
With the Obamas endorsing Harris, will it bring some people that were sort of iffy on Biden over to the Harris camp?
No. And the reason I say that is because the energy isn't with them. The energy is with her right now. Correct. And they're not going to, I think that that's also the reason why I think that they waited, was that they needed to let her have her moment without them being over it. And I think that they're going to play a more supportive role, because they know what it's like to be in that space as Black people and what comes at them. And I think that they're going to be more of a supportive role, not there to bring in, because right now, honestly, she's bringing in the money. She's bringing in the people. She's got the momentum and the energy behind her that they're like the cherry on top of the sundae, but she is the sundae. She's the ice cream, the main component. And you got to remember too that most millennials, especially the younger ones, and Gen Z, were babies when the Obamas, little kids when when that campaign was going. So they don't have the firsthand memory that those of us who were, of age at the time do, and the excitement about that. And honestly, I remember that, and I was very actively involved. And, my grandparents even raised money for the Obamas. And I can say this, the energy that at that time was exciting. This is different. This feels different. And I can't put my finger on what the difference is, but I think as a Black woman, for me, it feels different. I was excited to have the first Black president, but I can tell you this, in 2004, when I saw him give that speech at the DNC, and then he was surrounded by Michelle and the kids were little, I said, he's going to be the first Black president, because I liked his wife.
Yeah. It is really about having a familial structure that is supportive of that. And you could see that right away. I 100% agree. I think, to add to this, that the Obamas realize that this is not about them. And this thing is big. It's bigger than everybody, but it's definitely bigger than them. And so it's like when you have a child go off to college, right? You know that you will be there for them, but you're not going to go and take their exams and do all of those types of things. But you're there in the wings waiting in case they need your help. You're there cheering them on, right? You're there, at graduation. So I kind of liken it to that.
And they just want the rights to produce the documentary that will eventually
listen. You better have me in on that, sis.
All right. Let's and Galen, I know you got another point. I think it'll be relevant what we chat about now. But next conversation, various groups mobilized in spirit of Black women for Kamala Harris and raised millions. Like, it was crazy the numbers I was hearing. Like 44,000 people.
Yeah. I'm actually going to join the Win with Women call tomorrow.
Yeah. There's another call tomorrow.
There's another call tomorrow, like they do every Sunday, but someone had sent me the link, so I need to register for it. But Yeah, the way that this happened, they said that they were only expecting 1,000.
Right.
And so they didn't have the capacity. Actually, they said they were expecting 1,000, got 44 on the call, and another 70 waiting in the wings.
And so I actually tried to get on the call when it was 1,000. They were expecting 1,000, like you said, and it was tied to, I can't remember her name, but the main individual that was putting it together. It was her personal Zoom. So I tried to get in and I couldn't. And then I tried again and they were like, this meeting was at such and such. So I was like, all right. So then somebody found the link and sent it to me. So I ended up getting in on that other one. But that is just a testament to how ready people are for the rubbish to end.
Yes.
And the interesting thing is, okay, I'll say this. I won't go too far, but I'll say this. Number one, I love how all these different groups are mobilizing. And it's not a question of who did it first, but we have to look at that because usually when these types of things happen, usually who's the one who starts off the initiative? Black women, because it is assumed that, oh, Black women are strong, they can do it, and yes, we are. But this is always what happens. We always have to be the one to say, all right, who's going to start? We always have to do that. And so what I want for us to do is once she becomes President Harris, not that you slack off on what you're doing, but it's time to let other people to step up and do something for a change. Not that they're not that nobody is doing nothing, but we do an inordinate amount of work when it comes to these movements and making change, and we never get to rest. I'm saying, sis, I bid you your rest. We need to rest and then sometimes people don't step up because we do it anyway.
Right. And I think that's the conversation. Now, mind you, this one that Shannon Watts organized that had over 100,000 white women was not the first one. There was actually another one Monday of white women. A young white woman posted on TikTok the results of it. And she said the very first thing that they acknowledged was Black women sent us. Mm-hmm. Black women sent us, and we have to do the work. And then Shannon Watts, when she did hers, the thing that I appreciate the most is that they didn't spend a half hour sitting and talking about how, how great they are for being allies. They spent a half hour dragging themselves for allowing Trump to happen in the first place.
Well,
they spent a half hour doing that. And I thought that was something, they didn't need anybody else in their room. They needed to do that themselves. And I'm glad that they had that space to sit and reckon with themselves and hold themselves accountable. The woman who runs the Women's Vote, the Black Women's Organization, she said that Shannon Watts called her and asked her how they did it in terms of the logistics, and did she have some advice in terms of how to handle the Zoom aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And she said, do you want to be on this call? And she said, no, you all need to have your own space to talk and to deal with your own issues. And there's going to be a call August 1st of the disability community. The LGBTQ community had theirs Thursday night, I believe it was. The South Asians had theirs. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Black men, and then white dudes are having theirs on Monday.
Yes.
White dudes for Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Which is one that I hope that, like white women, the first thing they do is have that reckoning with themselves. Mm-hmm. Just because now that they're in this space, they've got to realize that you all are the last seat at the table. Remember that. The rest of us are here. So
Galen Bingham has a comment in question. Key to the POTUS race seems to be the white female vote. Historically, white women have voted against their self-interest and voted with white males in their family. Do you see that changing in this election?
Yes. And the reason I say that is if Roe hadn't been overturned and they weren't having issues with their own health, their own reproductive health, and challenges, whether it be not being able to have a DNC, which is the same procedure that they use for an abortion, not being able to have a DNC after a miscarriage, or sometimes even with fibroids, sometimes they do suck those fibroids out using a DNC, or IVF, which a lot of them, have, if it wasn't impacting the other parts of their lives. And now Project 2025 is talking about taking away the right to birth control pills and IUDs and all those forms. Then I would say, I don't see it changing, but this I do, because now this reproductive issue doesn't just affect Black women, doesn't just affect Latino women, doesn't just affect Islamic women or women of different faiths, different colors, whatever. It affects them.
All right. I also, Galen Bingham says, I was on the call for Black Men hosted by Roland Martin. Galen, if you're available, I can send you the link for this conversation. I would love to get your perspective on how that call was. So if, put it up in the chat if you're available, and I will DM you or email you. Would love to get your perspective on that. Dr. Tachi, I know you wanted to share something. Go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of this, I think Aisha's right. Because for the first time, their worries and fears are coupled with the nonsense that has always been going on. And they are seeing that where there's one ism, there are usually other isms. They maybe saw it before and swept it under the rug, or said, oh, well, that's them. Oh, that's poor women. I'm not poor. And so now they actually see, no, which we're talking to you too, that they're talking to them as well. And it's unfortunate that, a lack of empathy has come, because it really is a lack of empathy, where you don't think this could be you or this could happen to you. I'm sorry, where usually where there is one ism, if they're racist, they're also sexist, they're also ableist, there are other isms there too, usually. Right. So now the veil is being lifted from people's eyes.
Right. And the other thing that doesn't help is that you've got two white men on the other side sitting there talking about women having babies, basically being barefoot and pregnant. And when white women see that, it'd be different if it was two Black men having that conversation. They don't see themselves as being the women that they're talking about. But when they see two white men having that conversation, they know that they are the women that they're talking about.
Exactly.
And also, too, the negative talk about childless cat ladies and all that.
Yes, yes.
They're the stereotypes that they're attributing to Kamala Harris on the sexist level. They have some racialized ones, obviously. But then the ones that aren't racialized, they're like really, really touching the heart of, because, I don't know a whole lot of, unmarried cat ladies that are typically Black women. But the stereotype of that is a white woman.
Well, we'll get to some of that trope stuff later on in the conversation. I did hear an interesting commentary. Who was it by? I can't remember, but they said when Hillary Clinton went against 45, she lost. White woman, experienced politician. He said, can Kamala do this? She's a Black woman, doesn't have as much experience politically as Hillary Clinton did. What's the difference between Kamala's run and Hillary Clinton's run?
Let's be very clear. Kamala actually had more experience than Hillary Clinton.
She has more.
And the reason I say that is because Hillary only held one office. And that was for 2 terms, not even 2 terms. It was for a term and a half that she was a U.S. Senator for New York.
Right.
That was it. Before that, she was a political wife. Okay. She's a political wife. She didn't hold any position in government. But the other thing about Hillary Clinton that's different than Kamala is that Hillary Clinton also came to it with 30 years of baggage. People hated Hillary from the time that she said she's not going to stay at home baking cookies. And that comment followed her into 2016. Remember, the Congress didn't like Hillary Clinton because she did try and go in there and do the healthcare thing. And they're like, who are you? You're just the first lady. You're not a member of the administration or the cabinet. You're not an elected politician. Who are you in here trying to do all of this? And so she came with that. Kamala doesn't come with that. Kamala, this is her fourth office she's holding, fifth she's running for. She was the DA in San Francisco. Then she was the Attorney General. Then she was a U.S. Senator. Now she's Vice President. Now she's running for president. So she's held these positions going back to 2004.
Exactly.
So she's got 20 years of experience, of practical experience in government as a politician that Hillary Clinton didn't have. All that time, she was the wife to Bill Clinton. Now, did she help run his campaigns? Sure, she did. But she burned a lot of bridges that Kamala hasn't yet.
Exactly. I remember watching Hillary when at the time I was full-time faculty, and it goes to show like the differences in terms of what the way we think about things. And I'm also communication. So I definitely look at communication. And there was this arrogance that I noticed that Hillary Clinton had when she was there. And I remember the non-melanated women at the university was, oh, she was great last night, wasn't she? And in my head, I was like, frankly, I think she was arrogant and there wasn't any need for it. But who am I? What do I know? So it's also that in terms of, like you said, from the baking cookies thing and alienating that whole segment down to now there's this arrogance that doesn't mean that you should not be proud or be forthright or be, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But there's a difference between a non-humility, non-humble arrogance and being strong. And
right.
So it came off to me, and I'm only speaking for myself, as this arrogance and lack of humility. And I do believe that in order to run something, you need humility because you need others.
Well, let's be very clear too. I think that the other part of it that we can't ignore is that she was like, well, it's my turn now.
Yeah.
That was what she went in it with. It's my turn now. She let the polls tell her that she was so far ahead of him that she didn't need to campaign in those battleground states.
Yes.
And then also beyond that, I always wondered what Barack Obama had to promise her to bow out and to accept the Secretary of State position. And I realize now it was that he would endorse her as president when his term was over, because there was no reason for him to not endorse Joe Biden after spending 8 years with him. The only reason that could have been was the deal that he made 8 years prior. Mm-hmm. Because remember, after she bowed out and he had elected Joe Biden and not her, for some reason, the Democratic Party told him he had to have a meeting with her and Bill Clinton to discuss offering her a position in the administration. So clearly something was there. And I think that's the reason why, because honestly, as much as you could revere the Clintons, Barack Obama had to know that she came with 30 years of baggage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
So Galen says now
of course he knew, because he attacked her on it in the debates.
Right. So Galen says now we don't have to speculate about a 45 presidency. Still a long way to go.
You know what though, Dr. Vibe, that's the one thing I will say, having been here and voted in 2008 and now, at first I felt that way about Barack Obama, but then I got to a point where I started to see a similar kind of mobilization, and I was like, yeah, actually, he can win this. And Lala and I, when we talked about that, I actually do believe that she will win. And the reason I say that isn't just because of the momentum and everything behind her. Like I said, when Nikki Haley's supporters endorsed her, you got to remember, those are Republican women, okay? That's a pocket of voters. And remember, Donald Trump, Joe Biden was winning his primaries in the 90 percentiles. Donald Trump was winning somewhere between 70 and 80%. Nikki Haley was taking anywhere between 25 to almost 40% of the votes from him. So those voters now endorsing Kamala Harris makes all the difference. About this time, well, last Sunday, around this time, I was kind of, I don't know if this can work. I'm kind of scared. Are people going to get behind her? But when I saw that, and then I saw that they transferred all their PAC money to her, and then Nikki Haley, mind you, she did not put a cease and desist out when they became Haley voters for Biden. She did put a cease and desist out when they became Haley voters for Harris. And that's when, if Nikki Haley's scared, then I know this is going to, now see, that's a seasoned politician. If Nikki Haley's scared, then I know this is more than a possibility.
I think we also have to remember that despite whatever we saw with Dems these past 2 weeks, the GOP is very fractured because there is an old guard of the Republican Party, and then there is this extremist MAGA people, the extremist terrorists. That's what I'll call them because that's what they are. They are extreme. And that is not, regardless of what we're starting to see this fracturing of, they're usually party above Republic, but they see that the Republic is crumbling. So now the old guard needs to do something. This is why you see so many Republicans now going for Harris, because the alternative is scary. This is not the Republican Party that they signed up for, basically.
And also, too, you're going to see a lot of people who, like Mike Pence, might not vote for Harris, but he's not going to vote the top of the ticket. He'll vote down ballot races, but I think a lot of those establishment Republicans, the old guard, are going to leave that top ticket blank. And not voting is a vote for Harris. Not voting for Donald Trump is a vote for Kamala Harris, even if you don't vote for him.
All right.
Going to vote for him. Yeah.
Let's move on to one more comment before we go for a break. Kamala Harris is a cultural movement.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're talking about with the momentum. Not just that, but, Charlie XCX is, her fans are like using the term brat and they're like Kamala's brat. I still have yet to figure out what that is in my Gen X self. But, Beyonce giving her the song, the Swifties were on that call with white women. Okay, so pop culture, she's becoming a pop culture moment. You got Jennifer Aniston talking about J.D. Vance and the and what Republicans are doing with reproductive rights. As someone who her reproductive excursion was covered by tabloids for 20 years. And you've got her endorsing. The one thing I do have to say that is not happening the way I would like it, but Black people are doing it in some spaces, is George Clooney, Rob Reiner, and Michael Moore need to be dragged to especially George Clooney, because he really was the one who got this thing up and moving with getting Biden out. And Kamala Harris was not his first choice. Somebody told him, you can't skip over her. Black women are going to have something to say. You don't want that smoke.
Go ahead.
I think so. It's a paradox. When you are a celebrity, you have a platform, especially a well-known one. You have a platform to make commentary and to make change. But if you are not well informed, that platform can turn into a nightmare. And so it's a catch-22. And I know that a lot of celebrities are feeling this, like, absolutely, you're a citizen still. But regardless if you're a celebrity, and you still have the right to speak out. But because your platform is so large, people have a tendency to not only believe in what you say, but do as you do. And so you have a power that you have to wield very carefully. And so when George Clooney came out saying those types of things and basically pressuring him to step down, was that his place to do that?
No.
No.
He's got one vote just like everybody else.
One vote like everybody else. We all may say, for example, oh, this person needs to step down or this person doesn't need to step down, but it's taken with a grain of salt because of who we are. When you have a platform that big, you have to be very careful, and you don't have the political know-how to understand what that means. This is not your wheelhouse. This is not your wheelhouse. And one thing that I'm not saying that people cannot speak up about things, but one thing I know is I know enough about politics, but I am not a political strategist. So you will not find me on CNN or any place else talking about strategy because I know my lane. This is not George Clooney's lane. He needs not speak up so loudly about it. And then everybody's covered. Media is guilty as well. Why are you covered? Why is that news?
Because he's a celebrity, and like you said before, it gets likes and views and all that other stuff. And here's the other thing too: there's also a certain level of arrogance on George Clooney's part to think that he could change an entire political platform.
Exactly. How very dare you?
How dare you? But not only that, the fact that you had, and it wasn't just Black women. You had 15 million people who voted in the primaries say we're not going to be disenfranchised this way. You're basically MAGA-ing us in our own party. Mm-hmm. Not going to have it, not having it. And so he had to kind of back down. If he would have leapfrogged over her, and if the Democratic Party would have, honestly, I think we would lose. That was the way to give Trump the election. Right. But right now, I think the reason that I believe Kamala will win is because she was the people's choice. The people could not go back and do the primaries again, but they could speak out in other ways. And one of the other ways that they started speaking out was pulling their small donations from the down ballot races. And when those people saw that the rich people weren't coming to give them money, and then their small donors were like not donating to you until you endorse her, that is when they started one by one. But also, too, going back to what you're saying, Dr. Vibe, can't you win? The fact that the southern states, gave her their delegates first, mm-hmm. also is a shift. Because you got to remember, in these southern states is where you have large populations of Black and brown people. Absolutely. The most concentrations of Black and brown people
Mississippi,
in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there tells you that these are going to be the voters that are going to sway this election. Forget what people are talking about these so-called swing voters, these independents. Like I said on Wednesday, nobody's independent right now. There are no independent voters. People already know how they're going to vote, for this election and who they're voting for. The swing part was whether or not they were going to show up to the polls. The undecided part was whether or not they were going to stay home or get up and vote. And now you have a Democratic base that, instead of having the choice of staying home, which many were considering, they're more motivated than ever to just get out and not only vote, but do the work. People are doing letter writing campaigns. They're doing postcard campaigns. They're like, oh, I can't wait to go knock on doors. They're the spirit of actually doing the ground level grassroots work is back among Democrats. And Joe Biden has not had that this whole campaign season. That's one thing he hasn't had. And that was the thing that made a difference for Barack Obama, having that ground game, having the grassroots activism, having actual people go out and talk to other people about it. And now that that's there, the possibility is very real.
Can I say one other thing, or are we going to break?
No, go ahead. We're actually going to delay break because Galen has a question. So say what you have to say and then a question, then we'll go to break.
Yeah. So looking at this as a cultural moment and things too, and to what you were saying, Dr. Vibe, yes, I believe she will win. And here's the thing. I'm likening this, I live in Florida, and we had that 2 or 3 years ago when we had the collapse of the Surfside collapse, the condo building that collapsed here. And that's because and for those of you that don't know about Florida, even though Florida, a lot of construction is newer, but a lot of these condos east by the beach are old, like in excess of 40 years. And you're supposed to have a 40-year inspection. But what happens is these condo associations, they find something wrong and they're not doing assessments, or they can't get it. And so they put it off. That's what happened. So let's look at that as a metaphor for what the Republican Party is. They are an old 40-year plus building that needs an assessment to keep from crumbling, and it's not happening. But what happened is, on our side, we're the shiny new building that is hurricane proof, that meets all the criteria to be hurricane proof. We've got a new gym. We've got a great swimming pool. We've got an amazing condo association that does things. We pay into the whatever it is, the escrow, so that we have the extra money to do whatever. And what is that escrow that I'm talking about? All of this, I'm likening it to the fact that something happened. Definitely the voters, but we also have the power of social media. As soon as something happens, the social team needs a raise. They're on it with all these things. They're using all these the things that are out now that we see that are current, not just pop culture, but in terms of what's happening, embracing AI and all of these things. They're doing what needs to be done so they don't become that crumbling 40-year-old building. So that's what I wanted to say.
And they're also using things. They're talking in simpler terms. They're not as academic. They're not as old school Democrat establishment. When Donald Trump said that thing on Fox News, they went and issued a press release that says 78-year-old man said something, and it was like, oh my God, they're like literally being very petty that people wanted them to be in a way. But also too, the other thing is that that she's got a possibility when Georgia did two things this week that signaled they knew the tide was turning. The first thing was they announced that they will not allow state money to go to fund AP African American history classes.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
They reversed that the day after. Why? Because Georgia realizes, oh my God, this momentum is building. We're in play again. And if we don't do this, Georgia's staying blue.
Got it.
Sorry to tell you they're staying blue anyway. Go ahead.
Before we go to break, Galen has a question. I've been wondering about the Paul Ryans of the world. What do you believe has happened to the old school moderate Republicans compared to the MAGA Republicans?
It's cowardice. To be honest, it's cowardice. They are afraid of these people. They are totally afraid of these people. And they're even more fearful now that somebody tried to shoot at, and I'm not going to say he was shot because like Chris Ray said, there is some question as to whether or not he was shot or it was shrapnel, but one of their own shot at them. So if one of their own can shoot at him, there's no question in their minds that they'll take out a John Boehner, a Paul Ryan, any of those folks, right? Not only that, but you got to remember, Paul Ryan is sitting there getting all the money. He doesn't care. That's the other part. That's the other thing that happened to a lot of those old school moderate Republicans. They don't care because they're out there trying to get the dollar. They don't care. They're not as active in the party anymore because They don't care. They care about the money. That's it. The money for them has always been power, and politics has always been a means to that money.
Exactly. It's a conduit to the money, and that's it. Because it's arguable if they ever cared. I don't think they ever cared. Politics for them was a way to get exposure and access to money. That's basically what it was. And to be honest, many of them already had money before politics. It was just the exposure and the power. Okay,
Right.
so it wasn't anything. It wasn't.
Tell me why somebody's going to make Lauren Boebert, a 3 times failed GED high school dropout, is going to be somebody's CEO when she decides politics is enough. Explain that to me, and tell me how she's not a DEI hire.
Exactly. And so it's really the failure of the old school, the old guard Republicans for only caring about money and not caring about the party. This is what happens when you turn your back. Then you have the basket of deplorables, to put it in no uncertain terms, that sneak in because your back was turned and you didn't care. And so then you turn around and you're wondering, where did all these people come from? You had your back turned and you didn't care, and they snuck in. And you're 100% right. And rightfully so, they should be afraid. Their own will turn on them. Have you seen January 6th? That's them. That's their own.
Saying? A shark will eat its own guts?
Yes. They are terrified of, like you said, it's cowardice. They are terrified of that type of thing because they didn't have control of the party to begin with. They didn't rein it in to begin with. And honestly, that's the hate that hate created. You think you can get lovingness, and lovingness is not a word, but I'm making it one. You think you get lovingness and kindness from when you spew hate? Hate begets hate. We've all learned this biblically. We know this. So of course, this is what you have. And of course, they're going to come after you because there's no loyalty but to anyone but the self. And you fostered that. That's your problem.
And the other part of it too is that people are like, Donald Trump could have stopped January 6th. I don't think he could have. Once he got those people riled up, I don't think that he could have stopped it, because that was beyond a full-scale riot. That was like in what you see in some of these other countries, okay, that you don't usually see in America, but you see them in other countries that are struggling with their government. And I don't even think the other countries have seen things like that. These people were so angry, they were scaling one of the tallest buildings in DC.
Yeah, but see, and the fact that happened is crazy. But that's what happens when you have, and I'm just going to say it, when you have a David Koresh-like leader in front of you, and your cult members will do anything. They will scale walls for you. You have formed a cult. So this was not just a regular
with a militia mentality.
Militia mentality. I call it a coup attempt because it was a coup attempt. Mm-hmm. So with this coup attempt, you have a bunch of cult members that are so riled up that they are willing to do anything for their David Koresh, Jim Jones-ish type leader. And at that point, I don't think, this is the thing, I don't think he has the scruples to realize the level of culthood that he has begotten. I don't think he does.
No, and I don't think, and you know what? I don't think being shot at even scared him a little.
I won't go there, but
all right.
look, we don't really think that it wasn't staged, but I'm because I'm sorry, you point and bullets fly anyway. That to me looks like a sign, but you would think that anyone else it would scare, but guess what? It didn't scare him. You know what? You know why it didn't surprise me? It didn't scare him? Because Steve Scalise is still being the same old, ugly, hateful, mean-spirited man after nearly being killed from being shot. And he still can't come off of his behind to support gun background checks. Somebody shot you. So, yeah, I don't think that these people can be changed or fixed or anything.
No.
We just need to cleanse the palate of the earth with their presence.
All right. Galen Bingham says the Frankenstein that 45 created.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Any other comments before we go to break, ladies?
I'm loving this. I don't usually talk about politics, so when I do get the chance to, I'm all in. So thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Joe Biden's speech of this week. So we're going to break for about a minute and a half. We'll be right back on Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa. Lala's not here tonight. She's celebrating, and Dr. Tachi.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paige. I am a marketing consultant and the host of More Than a Mom, the podcast. I am here at the Soundwave Summit, and I had the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Vibe, and the gems he dropped were unmatched. An accidental conversation really changed my whole plan. And if I had him 3 years ago when I started my consulting career, it would have made a major change. The biggest thing that I learned that I'm taking with me is understanding that I do not have a show, I have a solution. And I think that's something that's not talked about enough. Another thing that really adjusted my mindset was the power of positive language. I was telling him about some of my problems are asking for help. I'm always pouring into other people, but it's hard, and it's a problem that I can't get that same thing in return. And he said, it's not a problem. It's something that, what did you say? Not a problem. You said, oh, it's a challenge. It's something that's a challenge for me. And that simple adjustment of language, I went away to lunch and I called 4 people and I'm like, hey friends, we need to change our energy. We need to change our outlook. We are solution-driven people. We do not need to do things the way society tells us to do things. This checklist that we feel like we need to fall under, this 10-minute conversation we had, it changed up everything. So I'm so thankful for the gems. I feel like I'm gonna go back and make a whole new to-do list that's based on how I need to do things, a different way of looking at things, and I'm just so thankful. So thank you, Dr. Barb.
Thank you, Paige of More Than a Mom podcast. Good to have you here. Hey, we are broadcasting live. 2 seasoned journalists here tonight. Aisha K. Staggers, Dr. Tachi, and Dr. Tachi of IndieSoup Media. And you'll see this on IndieSoup Media eventually too. So go there. Go there. So let's get back to it, family. Joe Biden's speech and his decision to withdraw from the United States presidential campaign. Your thoughts, ladies?
Well, I thought it was, well, you remember, he did it from the Resolute desk. With the Hatch Act, he couldn't go so much into the campaigning for Kamala Harris. But I think the fact that he sat and he showed us what leadership is. He sat there for the 13 minutes it took and basically said that while he loved the job, he loved the country more. And that if he can't do it, then he was very happy that she could and that he appreciated her work. But he also talked about what his plan is for the next 6 months, which I thought was very important because people need to know that just because he's not running the campaign anymore, he's still running the country. And that these are the things that he's going to work on. And the most important part of that, whether it happens or not, is that he is laying the groundwork and setting the stage for something to be done about this rogue Supreme Court. The fact that he is really going to be working the next 6 months to try and put some oversight there, that's what he's working at. Why is that so important? Because if he is able to get that done, then President Harris will have a better time, an easier time with this court. And so I thought that his speech was thoughtful, it was appreciative, and of someone who could have been really spiteful and really petty for how the party treated him and the betrayal that he had from people who were longtime friends. I thought it was filled with dignity. And again, he showed why he is a master at this.
Absolutely. I think he showed extreme grace, definitely. Grace under pressure. if we want to say it that way. Something that he said, whether we keep our republic is now in our hands. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. That to me was very poignant because, as I keep saying, this is my favorite thing to say, that the Republicans tend to be very party above republic, that it's not about keeping the republic together. It's about individuals. In doing this, I'm sure he was disappointed, but in doing this and showing this grace, he realizes that the stake of the republic is in danger.
Yeah.
If it was, this shows that you truly have to be a selfless person, because you could keep going and not do it despite the pressure that, no, I'm going to do it anyway. But it takes someone that is really in tune with themselves and listens to other people to know that, you know what, are we trying to make a statement or are we trying to win? I think this is what everybody is saying now. Yeah, you could make a statement and stay, or we can win. Yeah. And I think he is savvy enough to know that there was a little bit of hesitancy in the party as to whether or not he was the person that would deliver that win.
And I also think it was, the timing of it was fine, because I think, again, he let Kamala have her, he let her have her cake. It's like her birthday party, her coming out. He let her have her moment. Then he took it. Just like, honestly, people were wondering, this rollout came really fast. And I'm like, no, it didn't. You know why? Because I think a week, like you said, they've been talking. I think a week prior, he knew he was going to step out. Mm-hmm. Like I said on Wednesday, he waited until the RNC.
Yes.
It was a card game for him. Mm-hmm. He wanted Donald Trump to show his cards. Who's your VP? Mm-hmm. Okay. Who's your VP? Oh, this is the idiot that you chose. Okay, now watch my VP. Exactly. And then he was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to step down. But he let the whole week go so people could see the unhinged, insane craziness that is out there. And then he offered another solution. It's like, oh, that's the crazy. I've got to fix to that problem. I'm out. Absolutely. But this is who I support to be the antidote to that sickness. And that shows that he is strategic. And honestly, I said this before, I didn't think that he was going, if he won, I didn't think he was going to stay a full term. I didn't even think he'd stay a full year. Mm-mm. I thought that he was trying to win so that he could make her this first woman president that way, because the thought was, well, not so much can she win, are people going to support her? And the media, Republicans, all these people, they don't realize what they did. In one respect, it was bad to air our dirty laundry out the way they did. It was chaotic. But on the other hand, they also did themselves a disservice, because their thoughts had been that, okay, well, we're going to push him out and put in the candidate that we want. And Republicans were actually really excited about the possibility of there being a brokered convention, because they're like, who's it going to be? They never even thought that Kamala would be the nominee. They're like, who's it going to be? And so while it was bad, it also did a lot to boost people's energy and get people invigorated, because people were like, really? You're talking about so you're going to do a white male ticket against a white male ticket? Really? No, we're not going back to
that. And here's the thing that was so delicious about this. This was the most delicious thing. I think people underestimated, because of everything that was happening in terms of age or whatever, that he doesn't know how to play chess. Checkmate, witch.
Yes.
Checkmate. This is exactly what this was. And all that chaos and Wahala provided the perfect smokescreen to enact all of this. So that's why you notice there was very little, and this is just theory on my part,
Right.
but you notice there was very little talk on their ends about that. No, I'm staying in the race. No, we're doing. And so everybody on the other side was all happy because they were like, great, we have this locked in.
Right.
I think it was very calculated. They knew exactly what they were doing. And now this is the good thing, because all these people on the Democratic side that were flapping their lips and being loud and talking to the media, now they knew exactly who not to deal with. This was so calculated.
Yeah, it was. And you know, so funny is that if he had thought to do this the Sunday before, Donald Trump would have changed his mind about J.D. Vance.
Exactly.
He would have went with Tim Scott, or he would have went with Nikki Haley. More likely than not, Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Joe Biden knows this because he knows how Trump is.
Exactly.
And anybody can figure out what a toddler is going to do.
Exactly.
You know,
and
please.
again, we know that he knows how to play chess. He is able to anticipate his opponent's movement, especially when that opponent is not that sophisticated. Very easy. So it takes discipline too, to sit on and not do anything and just wait. Just wait it out. And they had the discipline, and this ended up working out for them.
It really did. And so that speech that he gave was, to me, it also was the ultimate FU to those people in the party who were trying to push him out.
Yes.
It really was.
Is it, are you comfortable? We wait till he's finished. What is Mr. Biden's legacy as a president, or do you want to wait till he is finally out? Do you have any?
Well, his legacy is pretty much set in stone, because he started this journey to the presidency, and how he's finishing it. He started it out as the vice president to the first Black president. This man had been in politics longer than Barack Obama, but he took that vice president's seat, and he was the ultimate hype man. Okay. Then as president, he has gotten more done than any president has done since Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay. So that right there, and people are still finding out about what he's doing, but guess what? They're still going to find out more come through next May, because like we said, in the United States, when they sign something into law, it has a start date, it has an expiration date, and laws have to be recertified. But the start date is not necessarily the day it's signed.
Right.
There's a date in the future. So a lot of things that he has signed won't take effect until even after the election. But beyond that, remember too, he got a lot done with a Congress that barely sent him any bills. They barely passed any legislation for him to sign. So for the fact that he was able to get the CHIPS Act done, the investment, the IRA Act done, all that stuff, the fact that he was able to do the most extensive climate justice legislation in, ever, his legacy is solidified in terms of how this country is now functioning in the recovery from COVID. I drive past it all the time. There is a sign by a bridge that was renovated by me, compliments of the Reinvestment Act that he put into my community. So people are going to start to see all these things. He might not brag about them, but people will feel the effects of them. And now he stepped aside in a very strategic way so that Kamala Harris can have her space. And finally, we get a woman in the White House. Because ultimately, put it this way, his legacy at the end is going to be that he made the path for the first woman to take the seat in the White House. It was going to happen either way, whether he won and he stepped aside, that plan fell through. So now this is the new plan. And I think that that's going to be his legacy, not to mention the fact that this man was the youngest U.S. senator elected. And remember when he was elected at what, age 29, I believe it was. So there, he's got a history that Donald Trump, you know why Donald Trump hates it so much? Because he's envious. He's envious.
Envy. Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump has a very short political career, just 4 years. And he screwed those 4 years up. And he knows it. Because right now, let's be very clear, he's not running to govern. He's not running to run the country. He's running to run out the clock on these impending trials and jail sentences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. And you want to add, Dr. Tachi, go ahead.
Yeah. So and running to like, I'll show them, I'll become president again. The first time he was running because he ran out of things to conquer, and he has colonizer spirit and a conqueror mentality, and people like that only are happy and feel they're accomplished if they are conquering something. He's already, quote, conquered the world of business, etc., and done all of that. What's the next highest thing? Oh, well, I need to become president. So all of that is in there. There's a narcissistic personality thing that's in there as well. So to both to President Biden's legacy, his legacy is that several things, everything that Aisha said, also that he cared enough to love America above partisan politics.
And his own ambition.
Yes, exactly.
More than his own ambition. Yeah.
And more than his own ambition. Absolutely. So that's someone that truly loves the country. If you're doing all of it, you step down so that somebody else could shine. That's love. Okay. That's love. Also, in terms of that, he's going to be remembered by those people who had inordinate amounts of college loans and couldn't do anything else because they're paying this ridiculous amount every month. That this is the person, even if it doesn't end up going through, well, some of it did go through, and there are a lot of people who got loans forgiven because of that. But even if what else is proposed doesn't go through, he tried to have one of the most comprehensive overhauls of student loan debt than anybody did. When you're told in this country, you're told, well, the way to be successful and the thing to do is to go to college. How do you go to college? Well, we have these programs. Fine. But you don't get told that you're probably not going to make enough to pay this back, right? And so you end up feeling bamboozled. Right. Working in public service or other jobs for years, and you still have this huge bill. He attempted and has relieved some of that for so many people. And that's something that is part of his legacy that's huge, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that Joe Biden, you're like, oh, things are so expensive. Well, guess what? He doesn't control those prices.
No.
Those are corporate things. But, the things that he could do to put caps on them, Republicans didn't want the regulations, but he did it anyway. With the cap on insulin, he did that. Not only that, but he also did the credit card cap of late fees at $8. Do you know late fees? Most people end up paying the late fees, and the late fees add up. People go further into credit card debt. $8 is a whole different late fee than 25 to 50.
These credit card companies are making billions, and these banks are making billions off of the late fees. And that's another reason, besides student loan debt, I think the next, the biggest thing probably is credit card debt. Right. Mm-hmm. And people don't get into credit card debt. I think there's a misconception that everybody that is in credit card debt is out shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue
and not paying their bills.
No, they're using their credit cards to pay their bills because they can't afford to. So they're trying to buy
paying back the minimum amount as a point.
Minimum. And so they're in debt for years. Crazy. So that's a huge legacy. But and I will say this. There are those that profit off of the debt of the poor and the debt of the people who are in debt. And let's just say that many of them vote the other way because the other side is more friendly to corporate undertakings of that type. and they have a lot of lobbyists who ensure that that is the case. And so this is huge. It's a big legacy. It's a I'm excited. Go ahead.
His legacy will also be seen in Kamala Harris's platform and the thing
Correct.
that she's able to do, because she's going to build on it. The thing that we talked about this on Wednesday, but the thing that was so bizarre to me in terms of how Newsmax covered her speech was when she talked about capping rents and utilities, and the right-wing media covered that like it was a negative thing.
For them, it is.
For the rich ones, but the base voters, you are complaining that things are too high.
But it doesn't matter. This is the thing. When you have been swept into the cult, it doesn't matter if it's too high for you, because everything you do is to please the leader. So I'm going to go along with it, even if it means a personal sacrifice, even if that means we don't have because there are people that will go to jail rather than vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. There are people that would rather meet their own demise than to have that happen. And that's what happens when you have such a strong cult leader, and I will call him a cult leader because that's what it is, that you are willing to do those things. Think about the fact of, if you look at what happened in, for example, Georgetown, Guyana, and some of these other things, the fact that they got so swept up in these movements past the point of common sense. Of course, in the case of Georgetown, Guyana, some of them tried to escape when it was too late. But you get to that point where you identify so much with the teachings of what this person says that nothing else matters. So yeah, it's expensive, but I have no right to complain because we have a great leader who is going to help us out of this. Somehow they think that he is personally going to help them out of this. And honestly, I'm sorry, those are the people you can't help. We have to stop trying to bring everybody along for the ride to the mountaintop, because those people are just dragging you down. Leave them at base camp. You can't take
the
them
media
with
needs to stop trying to figure out what are they thinking and why. No,
who cares?
Who cares? Who cares? What you need to start thinking, you need to start asking is, what are reasonable people thinking?
Yes.
And what do reasonable people want?
Yes.
It's like, these people, let me tell you something. If they have a choice of having a cap on how much a landlord can charge them in rent versus mass deportation, what are they going to choose? They're going to choose their hate every time. They're going to choose white supremacy every time. They're going to choose mass deportation every time, because they think that, well, if there's a cap on rents, that means those people I hate also get that too. It's not just for us. But if you mass deport them, we might be able to get those things just for us. They'll get those things. They'll get around to giving those things to us. And it never happens.
Everybody thinks they're different. And see, this is the interesting thing about that. And I point to Florida as a perfect example of this. We have a very large Hispanic population here, especially a Cuban population, who has a tendency to vote counter their own interests. When they talk about mass deportation, they're not talking to, they're talking to you. They are talking to you. But for some reason, people believe they are somehow different, and they're not the ones that are going to be affected by this. To your point before, when they were talking about women and all of this, now it's affected you. Now it is affecting you, and these policies are affecting you. So now you're like, okay, we have to find a way for this to stop. So I'm interested to see with the Hispanic population, many of them tend to be Republican here, what they're going to do and what that means. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot of hope that they're going to do the right thing in this case, but I'm going to be interested to see how many of them, being what Project 2025 is and what the other side says about immigration anyway, I'm interested to see how they're going to navigate this.
Well, they've had their call too.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
I want to see how I want to see how they navigate it. And you know what? I think that it was one thing when it was just, we want to stop immigration. We want to stop people from coming. Now they're talking about deporting people. And when you look at it, they're like, we'll deport them now And if they were citizens, we'll let them back in. No, they're not going to. So hopefully that will be different. But I think the way that we remember Joe Biden in this too is that he was one of the people who was very vocal about the hatred that's why he ran in the first place. That the hatred that is going on in this country has got to come to an end, or at least the voices can't be as loud as Donald Trump allowed them.
Absolutely.
Donald Trump amplified these, and he's been doing it since he was the original birther.
Yes.
He's been doing it. And so he's going to try to birther Kamala Harris, who already has started. But the problem is, and I say this too on social media a lot, racists are unoriginal. So the same things that he said about Barack Obama, same things he said about Letitia James, Bonnie Willis, Alvin Bragg, are the same things he's saying about Kamala Harris. And so and we know this because you've done it with everyone. So guess what? She knows now, like she said, I know Donald Trump. She knows how to counteract that.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but all of us know how to counteract that because we've had enough practice. So there's not anything that you're going to try and you're going to do that is going to change this. And I think the thing with Joe Biden that I think is incomprehensible is the fact that these things about him being old stuck when Donald Trump is out here just as old and saying crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll move on then. Now, as people are saying, who's the old man now in the campaign?
He is now the oldest.
Yeah.
So
so
party that dumps their 80-year-old candidate will win.
All right. Next conversation piece. Republican leaders urge colleagues to steer clear of racist and sexist on Harris.
Okay. So Mike Johnson told them in a memo, you got to stop with the racist and sexist attacks because people are taking note. It's making people mad, and we're going to lose bigly. Not just the White House, but Congress. If you keep doing this, and guess what? They're like, and
they can't. I mean, again, let me go back to this two smash flies metaphor. You are expecting model behavior and critical thinking from people who have proven over and over that they have neither one of them. If this is something, and let's look at the Republican Party, right? And their platforms are predicated on these types of things. The things that they support when they talk about conservatism, the things that they support are aimed at the other not having rights, at the other not being able to gain. And they don't say it like that, but the policies say it like that. So now you want people who have been doing this for donkey years, even before the MAGA Republicans. This was the order of the day. This is in your DNA. So now you want them to act anti-DNA like? It's not going to happen. And that's why they're like, and so, because they can't stop. This is what they do. They are not interested in the truth. They are not interested in being civil or kind, and they have no empathy. So I'm not looking for them to stop. Keep going, please, because it just proves our case.
Not only that, but they keep throwing DEI out there, calling her DEI this, DEI that. Guess what everybody else is hearing? We're not hearing DEI. Everybody else is hearing the N-word. You might think you're coding it, but it's not being filtered. It's coming through loud and clear. And beyond just that, and LaLa and I had this conversation too, is that it's like they think that if Trump can do it, they can do it. It will work for them. But I think this is the other strategy point too on Joe Biden's part. They spent a whole first day of their convention talking about unity and how they were going to be the unity party. This one black woman becomes the nominee and Unity went out the door.
Mhm.
Well, Unity went out the door by the end of their thing when they went off on JD Vance's wife. But they don't know how to act. They are so discombobulated right now. It's like, remember the Jetsons and Iona, the robot, all of a sudden, like sometimes like she'd get overworked and short circuit and all that stuff. That is them. They are short circuiting, smoke's coming out from their head, their ears. Yes. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to think. They don't know what to say. No. And all they can do is go to their old playbook. They're like, well, racism and sexism works. It works. We're going to tarnish. Basically, we're going to tar and feather her and hope that people see this tarred and feathered person and come to our side. The problem that they have is this. One, you're not energizing your people by using the same talking points you use anyway at every rally. It's like they're not going to be any more energized than they are. You're not bringing more people into the fold because I'm sorry, but people on the left aren't going to decide, oh, you know what? We like the diversity so much over on this side that racism and sexism is really attractive to us. That's not going to happen. But then this is the other part, and they keep ignoring it. We are pulling them, and they are dragging and kicking and screaming against going into this America that's already here. It's already here, right? You have an entire generation that is majority minority. All those kids have at least one person of color as a parent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that is their fear. But guess what? They're of voting age.
Exactly.
And beyond that, what they're also forgetting is that, yeah, you do have racists who have mixed children and grandchildren. But guess what? You have a lot of people in this country who are in multiracial families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think they also need to realize, and I'm not expecting very much from them. I expect very little from them, but this is all bad business as well. If you are on the wrong side of this, it is not going to bode well for you at all, or bode well for you at all. All we have to do is look at who is really realizing this. Netflix realizes this. $7 million that they gave to. So when you look at, and again, there's always been a history of companies giving, to political sides. But in this particular case, everybody is being very careful because it sends a particular message when you're on the wrong side of this. So this is also a business decision. That's what makes this country run. That it's business. So if you're on the wrong side of this, it spells trouble. And I'm going to be, it's interesting to see who is donating their time and money, et cetera, where.
Right. But it goes even further than it goes even further into the business aspect, like you were saying. In 3 days, Kamala Harris raised over $100 million.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
From small donors. Which means something. It's like, guess what? Those people that you are offending have money. They have economic power when they come together. Okay?
Exactly.
If put it this way, we don't even know how much all these individual calls have made collectively. We can estimate that it's over $50 million. Mm-hmm. Add that to the $126 million that she already raised. And this is why Donald Trump is, because he can't stop the people from donating. So what does he do? He tries to stop the PAC, the Biden-Harris PAC, from giving her the money by taking them to court. But beyond that, businesses are realizing that, oh my God, we just canceled all of our DEI stuff. And now these people, oh my God, now they're showing us how much money they have. We canceled all this. Oh my God, we've got to rush to fix it. And don't be surprised that by October, people start going back and reinvesting in DEI programs. because this is scaring a lot of people, not just people on the right. It's scaring businesses. It's scaring educational institutions. It's scaring nonprofits. It's scaring everybody because they're seeing the power and where the money is, and that the money is in with the people. If the one percenters who control the majority of the wealth in this country are shaking in their boots, then we've got something here.
Absolutely. And I urge people not to forget this after we have President Harris. Don't forget that all these companies, Microsoft, canceled all their and I'm not just pointing to them, but they're a large company. And first of all of the DEI stuff was theater anyway. It was all for show, to check off boxes, to show that you were, because again, that's big business, to show that you are sympathetic to social movements. But the moment you think you don't have to do it, you don't, because you didn't want to do it in the first place. We see you and we understand. And I need for people to understand that their dollars don't need to go to them. Otherwise, the same things keep happening. That's another conversation.
And some of these donations, you got to remember, some of this momentum too is coming as a result of that as well. A result of all these DEI programs. And remember, the biggest purveyors, the people who get the most from the DEI programs are white women. Period.
I mean, it's the same
They're the biggest benefactors.
It's the same thing with affirmative action. White women were the largest benefactors of that. But the thing is, they want to position Black people, Black women especially, as the benefactors of things without doing anything for it. It's such an old racist trope. I don't even know it's an old trope, and they keep going for it, and people keep believing them for some reason. So it makes me wonder about the mental capacity and scruples of a lot of people. If you can't see through this, I really feel sorry for you.
And that's the other reason for the racist and sexist attacks too. Yeah. Is because this is the other thing that scared the Republican Party. They have tried to marginalize the voices of Black women so bad in this country. And the fact that Black women had that call and everybody followed suit.
Yes.
Is like, whoa.
That shows the power. It's like when in the movie Malcolm X, remember when the young man was in the hospital and Malcolm did this?
In the jail, and they said to go to the
jail,
hospital.
and they wanted to get him to the hospital.
And the line is that's too much power for one man to have.
Exactly. That is what that call was like for them. But the thing is, we had the power all along, Dorothy. You had the power to go home all along. We've always had it. They just refused to recognize that we had the power. Now there is an actual display and show, because not only do we do something, we point the finger and everybody else does it as well. That scares them. And they don't have productive ways to deal with that fear.
Yeah. And not only are they doing it, they're asking us how.
Yeah, exactly. Because we know how. And the thing is, we've had to do it. We haven't had a choice. It's not like we signed up for it, but in order to survive, in order to get through, you learn how to do these things. So the thing is, the fact that you have alienated us has actually worked to our advantage, because now we've ended up as super people because we've had to be. But now you're mad at the fact that you created this, but now you're mad because all you've ever had to be is mediocre to get by. But now you can't rely on your mediocrity and ignore the fact that we are 10 times more because we had to be, because that's the position you put us in. So now they're frustrated too, because they realize they've done this. I can't help you.
Yeah. And every accusation is an admission.
Yeah.
So when they talk about her not being qualified and not doing enough work and this and whatever, they're talking about themselves, because they know that they're not qualified for their jobs, and they for sure know that J.D. Vance isn't qualified enough to be the VP candidate. Let's remember, this is his first political office as a U.S. senator. Okay. And remember, he lost the first time he ran. He lost
Yeah.
the first time he ran. And beyond that, all he did, two things. He wrote a book that stereotyped Appalachian people. They don't like him. Okay. He did a book that he stereotyped them, that turned into a movie, and he's a hedge fund manager. What makes him qualified to be one seat away from the president?
So Aisha, nice segue. Let's let you talk about the disaster that JD Vance, or you said the gift that keeps on giving. Go ahead, segue.
Okay, so I think the reason I said that the disaster that is JD Vance is that Bubba keeps talking and putting his foot in his mouth. Every time he talks, he's making it worse. The part is that he's offending women so much. He's not just offending women. He's offending white women so much. And it's like, I'm like, dude, come on, you need some more. Keep talking. But the memes are writing themselves. He is getting taken to task on social media. Whether it's true or not, the couch thing, okay? It is taking on a life of its own.
What about the couch thing? I know about it. Our listeners and viewers.
Some people say or claim that he admitted in his book Hillbilly Elegy that he had sex with his couch. Okay, right. AP published a story that said, we know this didn't happen, but they had to pull the story. Why? Because of their journalistic standards, so that they have to be able to prove 100% it did or did not happen. And truth be told, you can't prove that it didn't happen. He might say it didn't, but you can't prove it for sure if it was just him in the couch in the room. So now all these memes are coming on saying that he's in a polyamorous relationship with a couch and his wife. They're like, keep your couches away from JD Vance. It is so funny. So they're talking about him about that. They're talking about him about how are you anti-LGBTQ when you wear eyeliner? You know, they're going after him on that. They're going after him on his what is it? The hate. There was something else that the Mountain Dew thing, the Diet Mountain Dew thing. And just they're taking him to task. The couch thing has a life of its own, though. There's a Twitter account for JD Vance's couch, so it's taking on a life of its own. But he isn't helping. He really isn't helping. It's funny, and I put this tweet out there. He's also harping on the DEI thing. Well, as you all know, I am from the great city of New Haven, Connecticut, where Yale is. I know a Yaley. JD Vance isn't a Yaley. He's a DEI admission to Yale. He came from Appalachia. He was poor. He was what some would consider trash. Okay? He was a scholarship student. JD Vance, that's DEI. Period.
Absolutely. And, the whole thing is in terms of, not just the book, but in terms of the image. This is why I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Mountain Dew did like a cease and desist thing.
Yes.
There's a bad business. Again, there's already the connotation that all people in Appalachia and hillbillies do is sit around and drink toothless. Sit and drink Mountain Dew that is high in sugar, that is bad for you. And so there is that connection between people who are stereotyped as not being very bright with this drink. Huge mistake. They're like, don't do that. Don't do that.
They were calling it Mountain Dew mouth, right?
Yes.
That was what they called it. And so, there's that. It's bad for business that way. Here's the other thing. Look, I don't know very many wealthy Yaleys that have drug addicted parents like his mother. But again, DEI.
Well, no, they take other types of.
I'm sorry. Meth addicted. Meth
addicted. Okay, yeah. That's.
The street drugs, preferred by poor white people, not the mothers who take Valium and other
Right.
other medications that they can pay for. But he is, even the people in Appalachia who hate him. They hate him because of the stereotypes. That if you think that the stereotypes that he does on Kamala Harris are bad, he stereotypes his own people, and then come to find out he's not really from there. He's like just outside of that region. But I also call him the gift that keeps on giving, because he basically is baby Trump. He's trying to be the next Donald Trump. Because remember, he started out saying that Trump was Hitler. And now he's kissing the orange behind.
This is exactly the thing. From 2016 on, all you have is clip. In fact, there's a whole clip that Joy Reid had on her social media account. Of just a barrage of insults at Trump about how, and in that he admitted that he does invigorate people who have racist and sexist beliefs. Mm-hmm. So you're putting all this out there, and it makes me think, well, how can we believe what you say if you were so adamant about how Hitlerish he was and how detrimental he was? Somehow now you're his nominee. Yeah. Where's the truth here?
And that's why he's the gift that keeps on giving, because guess what? Kamala Harris has ready-made campaign commercials.
Yes.
All she has to do is just put his own words there, Donald Trump's own words when Donald Trump called J.D. Vance trash or whatever, and then show the check of Donald Trump donating to her campaign in 2011. Game over.
And see, this is the interesting thing, because this is what the Harris campaign has been doing. Yep. There was one in particular, and I know you all probably have seen it, where at the last rally Donald Trump was at, and he was like, and now they're saying, oh, it's the prosecutor, she's the prosecutor, he's the convicted felon, and then it's her afterwards. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message. Brilliant. You can't. Yes. That's when you have cleverness on your side. And that's the thing about having clever people, young people who really are invigorated, working on it. And that's something they don't have on the other side. The whole campaign for them is predicated on hate and the ostracization of the other. That's all it's predicated on. You have yet to say what you'll do. You have yet, everything you've done has been pandering to a certain base. Most recently, the Christians, right? The Christians. Everything has been about that. You have not said what you're doing.
Yeah. And what he told them yesterday about all you have to do is vote one last time, then you won't ever have to do it again. What do you mean? Guess what? Campaign ad. He can't even control his mouth to the point that he can't do. Look, J.D. Vance is doing damage to him, and he's doing damage to himself. Right. And the other thing too is that they don't have what Kamala has. And we're talking about the energy, Dr. Vibe. You asked the question as to whether or not it's going to fade. Here's the one thing that I did learn was that when she had her first campaign going, one of the people that she had on her social media team was 19. You can best believe the people that, even though she kept the infrastructure, the people that they hired to do her social media and message and some of the messaging are young people, because the young people are clapping back in these press releases and these videos and these memes and things that even her team is making. They're doing it in a way that they got the thing that, okay, wait, people want to be entertained. Okay, we're going to entertain people, but we're going to entertain them with the truth. And so when they say things like, 78-year-old man says that he's going to be the last president, that kind of thing, they capitalize on that. And those are the things that make Donald Trump make mistakes. Okay. everybody's like, well, his back is off against the wall. When his back is up against the wall, he comes out slinging, but he's sloppy with it. Because here's the thing, he gets so angry that all he does is lash back by saying the same things that he said before. Exactly. But guess what? They're ready for it. They're ready for it. And every time that he does this, he creates another video for them to use.
And what they didn't count on, and this is the power of social media and this whole thing, and using young people and people familiar with social media. They didn't bet on this being the clapback generation. They weren't ready for that, because the whole thing is, remember how anti-Twitter he was, because they embarrassed him the last time when and nobody came to the thing that he was, what was it, a campaign thing? I don't remember what it was, but nobody came, because on TikTok they had spread, listen, everybody get your tickets for this, but we're not going to show up. So he's been anti-social, which is why he came up with his old truth platform.
That's why he said he would support the TikTok ban.
Exactly. This is why he's supporting the TikTok ban. In fact, he's the one that instituted. That was out of being embarrassed and upset and mad at the fact that happened.
That all the millennials and Gen Z went and bought the tickets to that TikTok thing that he was going to have. Yes. And then none of his people could buy them.
Exactly. And then that's why the whole place was empty. And, it was, and they showed this on social media. And when he got off the plane, he was livid, because again, he's also livid right now because all of this attention is on not just the Democrats, but on Kamala Harris. And he has a personality where he cannot not be the center of attention. This is killing him right now.
That's why people are prone to believing that shooting was staged, because all people talked about for 3 weeks, all the media covered for 3 weeks, was Joe Biden, and can Joe Biden do the job? Can he do this, and this? And then that happened, and then all of a sudden for a week it was nothing but Trump. Now he's livid because he can't get in anywhere else. So what does he do? He's been running to Fox like crazy, calling in every show, trying to be there. But guess what? Nobody's covering what he's saying on Fox. The same way that media was giving him deference and saying, well, Donald Trump came out of the debate strong and this and that. Right now, they're just like, oh, he's talking about being a dictator again. Oh, he's back to talking about Hannibal Lecter. Oh, and by the way, Hannibal Lecter didn't die. He was in the sequel. And so people are like, wait a second. And they're like, he's talking about a fictitious character. Now they're starting to analyze the things that he's saying again, because guess what? He's the old guy. Not only is he the old guy, but now his opponent, she's on message. She's sharp. Mm-hmm. She's firm. She's delivering. Mm-hmm. And this weekend, she had over 2,000 events, either in her honor or in the ones that she was in attendance to. 2,000 events held for her in this country. Donald Trump didn't come near that.
No, he can't, because the thing is too, he also gets in his own way. It has to be The Apprentice starring Donald Trump every time. And that's what this is for him. And I don't
has to go see the leader.
Exactly. He has to be not only the center of attention, but to him, this is like the ultimate TV show, because this is what he knows. He doesn't know politics. He just sees this as he's a CEO. So he sees this as the ultimate episode of The Apprentice and sees himself as the ultimate CEO, and does not realize that this is very different. On top of it, he's the type of individual that needs attention. And the thing is, now it's really starting to come to light how much this is true.
Especially when the VP candidate that he chose came straight out of Central Casting and is proving to be a horrible actor.
Thank you very much.
All right. Good segue. Kamala Harris's 2024 VP watch.
Ooh, go ahead.
Well, Shapiro, who's governor of Pennsylvania, is on the list. Gretchen Whitmer, Bashir out of Kentucky. my after listening, thinking about this, I think that she's going to end up going with Mark Kelly out of Arizona. And Shapiro would be good because he could bring Pennsylvania. One of the challenges would be how his nomination would affect Michigan because of some of the support that he's lobbying behind Israel and Netanyahu.
Right.
That becomes does he become a liability to the ticket? Mark Kelly, however, Kamala Harris has been talking about two things very poignantly in all her speeches shows up. It is the abortion issue and gun safety, and gun violence. And so with her and Mark Kelly on that ticket, they covered those two things because Mark Kelly ended up in his position because his wife Gabby Giffords was shot in a mass shooting with an AR-15.
Yes.
And so he could speak to the banning of the assault rifles.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is going to be that. I also think, honestly, Bashir is a good idea because of the South, and he's won twice. He's won re-election, and he's won in a red state. He's a Democratic governor in a red state of Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And he beat out MAGA, the black MAGA guy, Cameron. But then again, the other side of it was Cameron not elected because he's so MAGA or because he's black in the South? So you have to consider that. But Gretchen Whitmer, honestly, I think a Harris Whitmer ticket, you want to energize white women and get them to stay the course, you put her on the ticket. And also, too, when it comes to, I think, the gun violence issue, she would be competitive because she could talk about the assassination plot that Trump and Trump's people tried to put out on her. But I think she's one of the luckiest presidential candidates in terms of she has a lot to choose from.
Oh my God.
I personally think Wes Moore would be good. She's got a lot to choose from. Donald Trump, on the other hand, didn't.
He had to get what he could take, basically.
It was slim pickings.
Because look what he did to his last vice president. So, I mean,
exactly. Who wants that job?
Nobody wants that job. That is, it's all well and good and cool until it really starts.
Until they try to hang you.
Exactly. So nobody wants that job. So it's like he's really, and it seems like he's really had to cajole people or person for that to happen. And I think, yeah, definitely 100% what you were saying about Mark Bashir being in Kentucky, which is something key. It's in the South, but you made an excellent point about, was it that the other guy was too black? Not even too MAGA, but too black. So was that the thing? And then, the thing too about Shapiro in Pennsylvania, that is a key state, Pennsylvania. But again, it's going to be a liability, the fact in terms of his position on Israel. And that's not something. So, and the whole thing is, like you said, with Gretchen Whitmer, absolutely. But here, like I said before, do we want to make a statement or do we want to win? We already know how people are. Yeah. We already have a vice president, a presidential candidate who is black and not just black, but black, Southeast Asian, and a woman. To add, this is why it would not work as much as we love Pete Buttigieg. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. She has to tread very carefully because here's the thing. We have to win first. And then you worry about making these sweeping changes that encompass people. I think sometimes people are too worried about making a statement. Oh, well, that would look great, but you're not going to win. Let's be honest and let's be truthful here. We have to win first and then worry about the other things.
And the other thing I need to say this because it can't be said enough, especially not on social media. And this is I've seen this with, mostly with white women. I've seen this happen. I'm glad you all had your meeting. I'm glad you called for a reckoning. But the one thing I'm going to need for you to stop doing is this so-called unity ticket of Harris choosing a defected Republican like Liz Cheney or Mitt Romney. Okay, let's be very clear. If she's running on abortion, and the right to choose and reproductive rights. Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, solidly against it. When Roe was overturned, they were both happy and they posted such. Okay? You can't have someone on your ticket who's going to go against it. And not only that, but you're also going to turn away the base of the party here that is so riled up behind her. It's like, stop with these momentum downers. Okay?
Yes.
This
is not everybody gets a trophy. No, everybody doesn't get a trophy.
She did the right thing once, but 98% of the time, Liz Cheney voted with Trump.
Exactly.
Period.
Forget them. No.
And here's the thing: talking about
we don't want them.
unity ticket. I don't see Donald Trump asking Tulsi Gabbard to be his running mate. Defected Democrat. I don't see him asking Joe Manchin. And the person that on social media, on Twitter, I forgot your name because I will call it out right now because I think that you need this smoke, who said that Joe Manchin, she should pick Joe Manchin. Have you lost your mind? That man is not a Democrat anymore. He's an independent. And guess what? He got his hand smacked because when Joe Biden announced that, he puts in that he's considering running against Kamala Harris, and people said, "Oh, I don't think so. I think not." And guess what? He had to go and do an interview where he said, "No, I'm not trying to run. I'm not gonna run. Exactly." So let's stop this talk with she should do a unity ticket. No, she needs somebody who's going to energize the base of this party as much as she is. And I honestly think that looks like it's going to be Mark Kelly.
And then to this point, again, here we go into the old tropes of Black women always needing to do the work. Have you asked anybody else to do a unity ticket? Why is it her? Will you stop with the nonsense? Listen, we are tired of always having to do the work to unify, to sew things back together, to darn the socks. No.
We're not Betsy Ross.
Thank you. We are not trying to sew the flag. We are not marching. No. She is going to pick someone that makes sense for them, that will win. We're not reaching because here's the thing. There's also the thing of the Democrats always reaching across the aisle. And typically, yes, that's what they do. But when people keep slapping your hand back, why do you keep reaching out? No, we're not doing that. We're doing something. We are Republic above party. We're trying to save the Republic. I'm not trying to be your friend.
Right.
I don't like you anyway.
Part too. Mark Kelly's a good choice too, because all little white boys dream of being two things if they can't. If not president, it's an astronaut.
That's true.
Well, one thing I will say, and it's interesting, it sounds like both you are saying, and in the past we said the Republicans focus on winning. They don't care what way on winning. It sounds like both you are saying Democrats just focus on winning. Don't try to just focus on winning. All right. Yeah. We're getting off on a really sad story, and we hear about this story too much.
Yeah.
But this story here is beyond disturbing. Yeah. The murder and killing of Sonia Massey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's once again a Black person in their home calls to the police for help because they think another Black woman, thinking that she's being, there's an intruder or someone trying to break in her home, and she ends up dead. And, people in her family said that she did have mental health issues, but that's aside from the point. The fact of the matter is that once she realized, once the police got there, they looked around, they knocked on the door, she told them, "You can go now. I'm okay. Things are okay." Guess what? At that point, they should have left, but no, they kept going. She comes in. They come into her home, okay, to talk to her. This police officer tells her to remove the pot of boiling water off the stove or turn whatever because he was concerned about a fire, and then all of a sudden says, "I'm not going to let you pour water." She's not touching the pot because she wanted to. You told her to go do that. So the fact that he is being charged with murder,
I'm very
good,
surprised.
because there's no other reason behind it. But the even more disturbing part of it is the thing that we're learning about him. And let's not be, let's be very clear. He shot a veteran. She was in the military. She'd been in the military. But beyond that is that this man he has not held a job at any police force for what, more than a year and a half, more than 2 years. There are reasons as to why he keeps going from force to force to force. And now they're just learning. What I don't understand is how can, you know what, all kinds of, I've had people, you know, in looking for jobs go through my social media with a fine-tooth comb. You mean to tell me that this person, they didn't go through his record like that? They didn't check his background like that? What? I don't understand. Why do we keep giving the benefit of the doubt to bad people?
I think, first of all, there's not enough oversight when it comes to police departments, in my opinion. I think that they go out there woefully underprepared. If you ask me, I don't like the fact that they only have like 6 weeks of training and then some maybe some continuing education things. If you ask me now, that doesn't mean that would stop the way police officers feel or even stop any of this, but it would make people think twice if they really seriously had to go to school to do this. I don't understand why you don't have to have at least an associate's degree in criminal justice in order to, plus the 6 weeks of training for police academy in order to do this. I think because all it does is when you don't have measures to keep out the people who could possibly do bad, it's a floodgate for everyone. Now, I do realize there could be some problems with this, but at least it's a place to start. And I've always felt that you ask doctors to have a college degree and they hold life in their hands. So do police officers. There's no reason they should not have college degrees. It doesn't make any sense. It's a profession, and you're sitting there with 6 weeks of training, no psychological training. It's ridiculous and it's rubbish. So that's part of this whole thing. So then you couple that with the fact of these individuals can go from state to state to state or city to city to city and get jobs anywhere. Is there no registry when it comes to these things? For other things, there are registries so you can see the history of these individuals, of things that they've done before, if they've gotten in trouble before, if they've been commended before. For other professions, there are. Why is there not? And I don't know because I'm not a police officer, but if there's not, there needs to be some sort of registry with a red flag behind somebody who has infractions of this type. So it's a failure of the system, and that failure of the system is unfortunately failing Black people big time.
Yeah. And you know, the other part of it too, beyond the training and all of that, the other thing that needs to be, we need some kind of measure of courage. Because here's the thing, if you're going to be afraid of being shot, and everybody, I don't know anybody who isn't, but if you're going to be afraid, that terrified, then you shouldn't be on the job, because this is why those kids in Uvalde are dead. Okay? Because the police were too afraid. There were more of them with guns, and they're afraid of this one person with a gun. So they just sat by and stood there and listened to the gunshots and listened to little kids getting murdered. That's why one of them now is being tried for murder. Okay. If the excuse that police use every time they shoot a person of color is, well, I fear for my life, then what are you doing on the job? That is the job. Your life is on the line every day. So you walk out of your door in fear. You do your job with fear all day. So why are you even doing the job? Guess what? You know what? You know who's afraid of guns? You know who's afraid of being shot? This person here. That's why this person here is not in law enforcement. And you know what? I actually did get accepted into the police academy because I was trying to be a forensic psychologist. And then Nashville, you had to go through that training. And my mother told me, I told my mother said to me, Aisha, but you're afraid of getting shot. If they start shooting, the first thing you're going to be doing is ducking and hiding, being like, they're shooting in here. And guess what? That is why I am not a police officer, because my mother was right. And so these people, I don't understand why they're still on the job. She was not a threat to anyone. She had boiling water that you told her to remove. She didn't come at him with the pot. She moved from the stove to the sink. But here's the thing. You knew that you were on a call with her because she said she was afraid that someone was trying to break in her house. How did she end up the one dead? How? You were responding to a woman in distress. She identified herself, but you still shot her. And then, I don't know, but I had the feeling that they were trying to hide this camera, the body cam. It's like, dude, did you not forget you had a body cam on?
Exactly.
And that's why he's being charged with first-degree murder. And I'm glad it's first degree and not some second degree or manslaughter or anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that was murder. Absolutely.
Well, I want to add 2 points. First of all, the whole state of policing, because of the environment of policing these days, a lot of supposedly good policemen are leaving because it's too tough a job. And what you hear now is a lot of police forces got to take questionable people on their force. What do you respond to that?
You don't have to do anything.
Exactly. You
don't have to do anything.
You don't have to. And guess what? A lot of people who are you recruiting and where are you recruiting people?
Exactly.
That's the other thing. You don't have to take questionable people.
No.
If you make work conditions better. The other side of it too is that if these communities would invest in proper mental health care and the establishment of crisis teams, a lot of times if there's a mental health crisis going on and they send the police can only do one of two things: escalate or arrest. They will, and when it comes to someone with mental health, they don't have the training, the experience, or the expertise to de-escalate someone who is in, like, say, if they're bipolar, in a manic phase. They don't have the skills to deal with someone who's schizophrenic. They don't have those skills. So their bravado, rather than saying, hey, let me call an EMT to come to the scene because this might be an issue, they go for the gun. I'll just control it with the gun or the taser. But I'll control it because I have the authority to do that, when they need to have crisis teams, period.
But those are the only tools they've been given. And that's why I'm saying it's a failure. The fact that if you are schooled in to do this, whereas this is something that could possibly happen, this is how you de-escalate, this is how you do they don't have enough time to learn. So I'm not on the side at all, but I do realize that there's a failure in the system, and the only tools they've been given are a taser and a gun and bravado. So those are the three things which are a recipe for disaster. So they need an overhaul of the entire system. If you paid people like they were supposed to be paid, that's one thing. If you, as you said, had society in general, our communities in general, don't have a good record when it comes to mental health and treating people with mental health. That's another thing, because it's not just on them. It shouldn't be left on the police departments to deal with that type of thing. This was an issue before the police came out. So that needs to be dealt with as well. So this is cyclical. This is an entire community issue that we're not dealing with. And I think sometimes the police is definitely the problem, but there are other problems that are the antecedent to that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's normalize not hiring racists on the police force.
Thank you.
Let's normalize that. And then we also need to normalize the fact that stop recruiting men, mostly men, who in other areas of their lives have no authority. or are
Yes.
or feel emasculated.
Exactly.
That they find it on the job. And that's one of the things that I'm seeing. When you couple that with racism, emasculated men with racism, a badge and a gun, people will die.
Exactly.
Okay,
100%.
I had one, but two more conversation points. What about the aspect in African Black neighborhoods of community policing?
Again, I think it goes, who are you putting in the community? That's the other thing. If they are having such a shortage in
No, but I mean people from those communities policing.
Okay, that's a problem right there.
Yeah.
Because we already have this concept of what policing is and what it looks like.
Right.
So anytime you say the word policing, we go to what we know of policing.
Right.
There's a reluctance to tell on people because we have the traditional mindset of what policing looks like. We don't want people to get in trouble. We know what happens when people get in trouble. I'm not saying anything. So that self-policing doesn't work because we have this spiral of silence that goes on. And when you do say something, you're in fear that something is going to happen. So that's a whole other conversation piece. But that type of thing, not that it can't work, but it won't likely work with the situation the way it is now.
Yeah. My hometown tried it. New Haven tried it. They had police substations all over the city in these communities, right? And the police, they literally walked the beat. They walked the communities. It didn't work. Because guess what? All the substations are closed. It didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is largely because, again, people in the community, when the violence, especially when there is gang violence, shooting violence, all of that, when there's a criminal element in that community, and when they have so much power, there ends up being a corruption factor of the police in the community. If you're taking people who are from the community, it is difficult to avoid corruption and people looking the other way. And so how is a community supposed to feel safe when the police are on the payroll of the criminal element that's running the community?
Okay, we started the conversation way back a little while ago about Project 2025. Now, Aisha and LaLa, you and both of you have said...
You mean Dr. Tachi.
Well, but also, okay, Aisha, LaLa, Tachi. I'm saying LaLa's here, even though she's physically here. How would a situation like this have impact if Project 2025 was in existence?
Immunity. That's what's in Project 2025. They want to give police automatic immunity from being charged in the murder of people like Sonia Massey,
which would automatically increase these incidents.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll end on. Ladies, it has been another epic conversation. You always bring it. I want to say thanks to both you for taking the most important thing, your time to hang out with us for a while this evening.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a long show tonight.
And you covered everything. You covered and then some. But as always, we want to say, give your contact information before we all leave. So first off, the one and only Dr. Tachi.
Hey, thank you so much again for having me on. I'm everywhere. So first of all, you can watch my show Mediascope on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn. And we'd love to have you as part of the Mediascope Massive. You could go to the Facebook page at Mediascope16 to find out more information about what we talk about. Also, I am the founder of IndieSoup Media, which is an independent network for independent content creators. You can find us. The best way is on our YouTube page, IndieSoup Media on YouTube, and you can not only watch what we have going on Monday through Friday from about 4 p.m. till about 9:30, but you can also watch past shows, go to the playlist and see all the wonderful stuff we have to offer.
Thanks again, Dr. Tachi, for making it an epic conversation. You always have a seat whenever you're ready.
Thank you.
And there she is. Sorry. There
It's
we go. There we go.
You can find me on X most of the time. Like I said, last show Wednesday, I'm slaying on X.
Okay. Good stuff. Thanks again, Aisha. All right. There we go. And a few things. You know what? Where can you find me? Where can you find me? I don't know where you can find me. Let me just put it out there. Well, first of all, you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and also my website, thedrvibeshow.com. Also, if you want to get in contact with me, website, thedrvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram at thedrvibeshow.com, X/Twitter at drvibeshow, and email dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And there we go. Jen gives it a thumbs up, so it was a great show. If Jen says it's a great show, it's a great show. Before we leave, just a few other quick things. Just a reminder, Primetime Saturday at Patreon. The link is there. Also, it's on the comments. All these things I'm going through now are on the comments section on most of the platforms you're watching this live on the replay. There's a link for the store. There's a link there's the email address if you want to join the Discord group. You want to check it out. And then, as always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Hit the notification button. Let's get to 1,600. Please, and thank you if you're up to it. And follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, The Dr. Vibe Show. And always advertise your business, product, or service on the show. Email me, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. To end it off, as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And in honor of one of my heroes, Louis March, keep fighting. Take care, be safe, and walk good.